Howdy there, friends. My name's Jason. Welcome to my channel. So today we're going to tie up a fly that you see in the vise here. I was inspired to tie this up by a gentleman named Timothy Bird. I came across his YouTube channel as I was trying to learn more about sea run cutthroat fishing. And something similar to this fly came up. I've added my own few touches on a little bit of flair. He calls it a squimp. I think that that's a good enough name for it. Just know that there is also I believe it's a bonefish fly called the squimp, and this is not that. So if you're looking for the bonefish squimp, this isn't it. We'll call this one the SRC Squimp for Sea Run Cutthroat. So let's get it going. So today we're going to use a Daiichi 1530 inner number 6. We got some UV pearl flash. We're going to get extra with it. Put some little rubber legs in there. These are the Chacon's micro crusher legs, but any small rubber leg I think would work just fine. We've got some shrimpy colored marabou. This particular one is Southern Fluorescent Peach. It's a custom color from Spawn Fly Fish. And we're also going to use another Spawn product, which is their Ghost Shrimp UV Orange Semi-Seal. If you guys haven't checked out these guys' Semi-Seal blends, they've got some really cool colors that are labeled under the Spawn name. It is a Semi-Seal, so they've worked in conjunction with John Romer. They just make some really cool stuff. It's worth checking out. And then last but not least, we've got some golden pheasant feathers. So as you can see, there's kind of a lot going on with this fly, but it fishes well. And the Sea Run Cutties seem to like it. Oh, and I've got a brass bead in gold on there. It's a little bit bigger than what I would usually use. This is a 3/16. I typically would tie this in a 5/32, but I'm just don't have any of that color and that size right now, so this one's getting a little fatter bead. And some UTC 70 in fluorescent orange. So, as always, we're just going to get the thread on the hook. Go ahead and lay down a nice thread base. Sorry, excuse me, that was a big sneeze. Got a lot of wildfire smoke in our area right now. It's kind of wreaking havoc. So I'm going to put down a nice little thread base right about to where the hook, the barb would be. I do crush the barbs on these flies because Sea Run Cutthroat are a catch and release only fishery. So I like to just go ahead and crush them right away. That way I don't forget and don't have to deal with it when I'm out on the water. So I'm going to grab a little hank of our flash. I'm going to tie this in here. I'm going to cut it off, and you'll see that it's kind of become, I guess, what would be the mouth parts if this were a shrimp. So don't need a huge chunk, but a fair amount. I'll go ahead and lash that on. If this is kind of a mess right now, it doesn't really matter. This is all going to get covered up with a bunch more materials. Go ahead and take a couple underneath to prop it up a little bit. It's not wanting to cooperate right now. There we go. Alright, now something I like to do. I'm going to take a few strands of this, maybe 5 or 6 or 8. I'm going to fold it over forward and just throw a loose wrap of my tying thread over it. I'm going to pull this back and we're going to cut that off about like that. And again, in my mind, that kind of represents the mouth parts of the shrimp. And then we're gonna let those long fibers back down there. And those will help me create some of the feelers, or the pokey outy parts, I guess, of what a shrimp looks like. Okay, so the next material that we're going to tie in is going to be the rubber legs. I've taken 2 out of the package already. I'm going to get those, so we're tying it in at about the midpoint. I'm going to tie them in on my side first. A couple wraps, make sure they're on the side. And then we're just going to throw a couple of loose wraps in. And then I'll take these legs and pull them down your side. And then go ahead and wrap those in tight. Okay, I'm happy with that. We're going to take a piece of our marabou, and I just want the tip of the feather. We don't want a real fluffy tail on this guy because it's not really a tail. I want these kind of wispier end pieces, and I want it to be about double the length of the shank. So we're going to go ahead and tie that in right up front, holding that right on top. We're going to bring that down. Okay, I'm happy with that. Go ahead and cut that out. Save that piece. You never know, you might need it for another fly. And now we're going to tie in one of the specialty materials for this fly that you may or may not have. So you could most certainly tie this with something like some easy eyes, easy shrimp eyes, or something like that. I just really like the effect that this golden pheasant gives it. So when we tie these on there, it's going to give it the illusion of some dark eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and tie it onto my side first. Just a couple wraps. And then we're going to match that feather up as best we can. Tie it on your side with a couple of wraps. And then get a look at it. See if you like where they're sitting. They seem to match up pretty good to me, so we'll go ahead and tie those in nice and tight. And get rid of that stem. Okay, and even though it seems like there's kind of a lot going on with this fly, we're already almost done. So now we're gonna just dub a body, and I'd use whatever color, whatever kind of shrimpy color you want to use. I think these similar flies are kind of popular in white as well. So we're just going to dub some of that dubbing on. You can always add more. So this dubbing, when it gets wet, becomes fairly translucent. So that's something else that you can play around with if you want, is the thread color, because that thread underbody is actually going to show through a little bit once this fly gets wet. So if you want something a little more subtle, or something that's a little more pink instead of orange, you can do a lot by just changing the thread color. A little bit more here. We're getting close. think just a hair more. I'm happy with that. Go ahead and build up a little thread hotspot there. I'm going to take some UV resin and just paint it right on the thread. A couple wraps. Quick whip finish. And let's give it a zap. Alright, I'm going to pull my legs and my flashback, and we're going to go ahead and cut that off a little longer than the marabou. A little brush out to make it look a little buggy or shrimpy. I don't like that fiber right there. There we go. And that's it. This thing gets wet. It's all going to slick back. You can see how those golden pheasant could be mistaken for eyes. And that is the SRC Squimp. Thanks for watching.